Today, we are diving into the jobs feature built specifically for production teams managing multiple services across their projects. Whether you're doing roofing, gutters, siding, windows, or all of the above, jobs gives each service its own tracking board so nothing gets lost in the mix. We'll cover what jobs are, how to set them up, and wrap up with a live demo of automatic job creation tied to quote signing. So let's get into it. Before we look at any screens, I want to make sure we're all on the same page with two terms that work together: services and jobs. Services are the types of work you offer, like roof replacement or gutter installation, and they're set up in company settings. Jobs are how you track each service through production. One project can have multiple jobs with their own stages, assignees, just so your team can manage everything and every service independently. Specifically helpful if different crews are doing different types of work for you. Let me show you where jobs live in the main navigation. I'll share my screen. All right, so it's right here. If you go to boards on the left navigation bar, and then you'll want to click on jobs. So we have orgs, projects, and jobs. We're kind of dial in on jobs today. What you're looking at is a Kanban board, very similar to your projects board, but this one is dedicated entirely to jobs. Each pipeline across the top represents one of your services, and the pipelines you see and the colors assigned to them will vary depending on how your services are set up in company settings, how they're configured there. So your board might look different from what you see here today, and that's completely normal. Inside each pipeline, which is going to be roof replacement is a pipeline, roof repair is a pipeline, siding is a pipeline, just to be clear, and they each have their own board with different stages. Inside each pipeline are the stages you've configured for that service in company settings. For our gutters pipeline, you can see that we have planning, in progress, blocked, and complete. But yours may look completely different depending on how your team works. So every service can have its own set of stages based on what their workflow is for each trade and how different they are. This board is specifically built for your production manager. So instead of digging through the project and seeing what status is for gutters, just for example, they can come here and see the active jobs across every service and know exactly what needs attention. If a service doesn't have any stages configured in company settings, it won't show up on the jobs board. Let's make sure we add at least one stage to each service so that it appears here. Okay, so let's actually do that. Let's go behind the scenes and go into our company settings. It's going to open in another tab here. And then the fourth option, jobs and services, is what we're going to choose. We're going to add a service from the bottom of the list. And let's do Windows. I don't have that one yet. Create. Once created, the service appears in the list and you can expand it to configure everything. And so let me go through the key settings here. There's the service name. Automatically create jobs. When windows are marked as a service on a project, do we want to automatically create jobs when the customer signs a quote for with Windows on it? I can click yes for this service. And this is just a big time saver. Service color, that's a fun one. I'll go with green. I don't think I have anything green right now. I can default this job assignee. So if John Dorian does all of my windows, then I'm going to just assign it to him automatically. And then use project name as primary on job board. I actually prefer this so that I could just see that correlation very easily, but up to you. You can always edit that. Every service does need stages, like we just mentioned. So this is just what helps it move through the steps in production. So let's add some stages. We'll do planning, in progress, complete. Okay. The status, I'm actually just sort of mocking up these statuses here, and then I'm going to do complete. And then let's do different colors too. So we can do purple, blue, and green. So if I click on the snippet icon, that is the little quotation marks that you see here at the far right of the stage row. This lets you pin key info directly onto the job card for that board. So I'll select project address here, which is the most common for all of the 3 stages I configured. Next, you'll see this little eye icon. And this clicking that archives the stage, meaning it stays in your jobs board, but ongoing jobs stay hidden. Useful for stages you're not actively using anymore. And the last icon is the trash icon, which permanently deletes the stage. So use that one carefully. So, a quick word on status. Each stage has a status that you assign: planning in progress, blocked, or complete. Think about your team's real workflow when naming your stages. So the stages are what you want these to be to look like towards your team. Some customers use permit applied, permit approved, materials ordered, crew scheduled, install complete, final inspection. The more stages, the more visibility for your production team. And multiple of those stages can fall in this planning status, for example, or the in progress status. So that's just something to think about. Below, you'll also see dynamic fields. This is where you can create custom fields to capture job specific information that doesn't live anywhere else in ProLine. Things like permit numbers, gate codes, HOA color approval, linear footage notes. I'm just going to click here to add a field. Let's see, we'll just do permit number. This can be a number or a single line. Unique identifier. Uh, I just you don't want any spaces, so I'm just gonna do this. Permit number, one word, and save. So dynamic fields are gonna let you standardize data collection across the team. Instead of notes living in someone's head or scattered in comments, the field is right there on the job. So if you're consistently collecting certain information, you will want to add those dynamic fields. All right, so let's look at jobs from the project level. And every project has a jobs tab. And this is where you see all the jobs that relate to that specific customer on that project. So let's search for Lily. All right, so I have Lily's project here. Inside the jobs tab, you can see jobs tab is up here at the top right. You can see where you can create a job manually. So I have the service, can call it whatever I want to call it, and I can add a description and create the job. And this way I see the gutters job related to this project. So once the job is created, you'll see the 4 key sections inside of it. Let's actually just go the service stage assignee. We have quote pages if there's any associated quote pages. This is where you would link the signed quote page to the job so your production team knows exactly what was contracted. Associated events, job description. Service is where the trade the job belongs to. This stage is the first stage you configured. So you would click it to move this job forward or back in that pipeline. And then you can also drag and drop, which is what we were doing before on the jobs tab. So I'm going to go over to gutters. So now I have Gutters Mejia home. I can click and drag or click and change. So a few options there. Now let's go to the quote pages section inside the job and click this pencil icon and add a quote, select a page from quote. So I'll select the 6-inch seamless. Am I on the wrong? I think I might be on on the wrong job. That's why. Hmm. So within this project, the project has a quote associated to it. I can view that here. And what I'm looking for is to pull specifically the page related to this job, to this trade. 6-inch seamless gutters. Save. So I'm gonna close this out, show you this job board again. So you're gonna see here the project, the customer's name, and the information is 0 uh, days since it's been in this stage. You can also link events like inspections, installs, add job specific notes, material colors, or access instructions are good examples, all within the job view. So that would be how you manually add a job. But let's go to, if you're running a high volume of projects, you probably want this to happen automatically the moment a customer signs the quote. So let me show you how that works. So there's two parts to automatic job creation. First, you're going to want to turn it on in company settings for that service. And second, you tie the service to the right quote template page. Once both of those things are in place, ProLine does the rest. So let's enable auto creation in company settings. That's our hamburger menu. And let me move this up. Company settings. And then I'm going to go back to jobs and services. Okay. Let's do the windows we created earlier. Okay, so we have automatically create jobs is a yes here. That's step one. The service is now ready to create jobs automatically, but it now needs to know what quote pages actually trigger that creation. So still in company settings, I'll click on quote templates on my left side here. And then I'm going to open up the Windows template by clicking the pencil icon on the right. Okay. In the top right of the page builder, I'm going to add a service dropdown. So I'm going to click on Windows and then add service, Windows. So every time this option is signed for on a quote, it is going to create a job automatically for Windows in your jobs board. So this drop down is only going to appear on option pages and add-on pages, not structure or cover pages. By selecting the service option on this page, you've created the connection. Now, whenever a customer signs, ProLine automatically creates that Windows job. All right, so let's go and just do what the customer, let's see what the customer is going to see. Go back to my boards. I'm going to go to my projects. I need to find this Lily project, Lily Mejia. We've done a lot of work on this one. And I'm going to head over to the quote tab and I'm going to just create a new quote so that we can see the automation here. I'm going to do my Windows template. Create. It's going to open this editing tool automatically. Let's go here. Okay, we've got some numbers on. Cool. Let's put in a number here. Let's just do a big number for the sake of $3,000 in Windows. Wow. Okay. I'm going to view the quote and then I'm going to just approve it so that, let's say I'm just showing it to the customer here. I approve this quote. I'm going to make sure that I choose the windows and continue. And yes, windows are the only option on this quote template because this is a demo account, but often windows are just an additional trade offered. So now I'm approving the quote, and then I'm going to navigate back to the jobs tab so that you can see my new window pipeline with one window job. So there it is. Windows job has been automatically created. The production manager can now see the gutters job on the other pipeline, and then they can also see the Windows job that was automatically created for this project. So Lily Mejia's project has a gutter job and a Windows job. I can click and drag this, or I can click into the job and update the stage like we talked about. By just choosing a different one. And I see my quote page listed here. So let me see what questions we have. And while I'm waiting for questions, just a quick recap of everything that we covered today. Services versus jobs. A service is the type of work, and a job is how you track it through production. So one project can have multiple jobs. The jobs board is a Kanban board, Kanban board. You can decide how you want to say that one. In the main navigation, one pipeline per service designed for your production manager to track all the active work at a glance. The jobs tab inside of a project is where you see, create, and manage all of the jobs for a specific customer, including stages, assignees, quote templates, events, notes. Manual job creation, you just click new job inside this projects tab. Automatic job creation requires some settings to be enabled in company settings, jobs and services, and then link it to a quote page in your quote template. And then quote page linking, connect the signed quote page to the job so production always knows what was agreed to. If you run multiple services, jobs is the feature that brings order to your production workflow. You just set this up once, and then every signed quote starts a job automatically, and you can see very quickly where everything is in the production pipeline. Happy Tuesday, everyone. I hope you have a good day. Please reach out to our support team if you have any questions or email me. See you next week.